Okay, I wanted to make a video talking about people's differences and just learning the discernment of when to just kind of let people be. You know, for example, people who don't eat meat versus people who do eat meat. A lot of people who do eat meat, they see like the health benefits of eating meat. And the people who don't eat meat, they see basically the benefits of not eating meat. And at times, it can be hard for both sides to get where the other side is coming from. And a lot of times, they want the other side to kind of think the same way they think. Same thing goes with religion. So, a lot of people have their beliefs, and they want people to have the same beliefs that they do because they think what they believe is right and true. And so it's not like it's super it's not like it's super wrong or anything. It's just definitely what people like naturally want to do is defend their beliefs and have other people agree with them. And so whenever people disagree with them, it could almost cause this like friction where people are like, you have to see it my way, like my way is the right way. When in reality, we really need to, or we don't need to, but I think it's beneficial to kind of let people be. So like, for example, if everyone thought the exact same way that I think, I'm not gonna learn anything from that experience. We're not here on earth to be like carbon copies of each other. We're supposed to have differences so that we can reflect and we can see things from a different perspective that isn't already our own. If we want everyone to have the same perception that we do, not much learning and growth can come from that. It's just going to be a lot of agreement and almost to a fault because what if your beliefs are wrong? I know for me personally over the years, I've had certain beliefs that weren't true, and maybe who knows, I thought they were true, and then now I think something else is true. For example, the world being a globe. I thought that was true for so long. Now I believe in flat earth. People who think the world is a globe, they're like, everyone else needs to think the world is a globe. And people who believe in flat earth are like, everyone else needs to believe in flat earth. Do you? I don't care. Like, I believe in flat earth for now. That could change as my awareness and knowledge grows. But up until this point in my life, that's the thing that makes the most logical sense to me. I don't need other people to think the same way I do, but I do like explaining it and being like, hey, if it makes sense, join me over here. This is what I think. So that's an example of letting people just be. Do I think flat earth is right? Somewhat. Like, again, it's because my awareness and knowledge up until this point has led me to conclude that flat earth is the most logical explanation of how the world works. I'm not going to go into it because people have their own opinions on that, but that could change. I'm not so stuck on like it could be a different variation of what I think it is in my brain. So, I'm just following what I think is right and true for me. I'm entitled to my perception. Other people are entitled to their perceptions. Same thing with religion. I don't need everyone to think the exact same way that I think on who God is. Because it's hard to even define God when, in my opinion, God is everything. Like, it's hard to put God into a box and define God, in my opinion. But I do think a fundamental thing we should all agree upon is treating others the way we'd want to be treated. So basically, like, being somewhat selfless. It's okay to be somewhat selfish and to take care of your needs and make sure you're comfortable. But at the same time, I think it's also very important to make sure that we are supporting each other and not just ourselves. We're taking care of each other, even if that does mean sacrifice in certain areas so that other people can have their needs met, in my opinion. In a well-functioning society, there isn't much need for sacrifice. It's just more so about alignment and doing what you know you're meant to do. It's not really sacrificing, it's just an awareness of this is what needs to be done and I'm here to help. But like, for example, the mega rich, the top 1%, they hoard like 90% of the wealth. That's even generous. I think they hold more than that. And then the rest of us, it's like, we fight over like the scrappings. It's like there needs to be, ooh, I have a really intense ringing in my ears right now. There needs to be a balance. So it would somewhat be a sacrifice for these mega rich, but when you look at it as a whole, it's like, but it evens it out. Not talking communism, don't get it twisted, just lessening the gap between the top 1% and everyone else, making it a more logical gradients, not like we fight over the scrappings and top 1% has it all and top 1% owns like all the big or all the companies. It's like there needs to be more diversity is the word I'm looking for, just not where one small group of people hold such an immense power, in my opinion. So it could look like they have to sacrifice that power in essence, but when you understand it's so that there can be a better flow for everyone who exists on earth, it's good. People might be like, oh, big corporations, like they have our backs, they supply us with all this stuff. It's like, you can think that. I disagree. It's my opinion, and it's exactly what it needs to be. So going back to that, like, when you disagree, it doesn't have to turn into like a violent thing. It doesn't have to turn into like, I need you to think the same way I think. It can be an acknowledgement of like, okay, you think that way, I think differently. We're entitled to our beliefs. Let's let it be. As long, again, as you're not like hurting anyone, stepping over any boundaries. Like, you know, if you think going around and just hurting people is right and that's your belief, that's when discernment comes into play. Because it's like, you're not entitled to that belief. That is only one of like destruction, one of hurt. So it's like, you don't get to just go around hurting people, be like, well, that's what I think is right, and I have anger issues, so I'm entitled to act out on my anger. Like, that's not productive to anyone or anything. So that, I think it's okay to, you know, disagree with and be like, no, absolutely, you can't do that. And if you do that, then there are going to be repercussions, because that's not going to create a functioning society, having just like this loose cannon going around hurting people. Like, there needs to be a certain agreement on law and order for the well-being of everyone and everything as a whole. But I think, I don't know, that's where it gets hard, because how do you enforce that? Is there strict laws and orders that people do need in place to follow? Or should we just already naturally have that within our heart and soul by growing our connection with God, source, the higher power? I don't know. But yeah, I do think it's important to let people have their own thoughts and opinions, have your own thoughts and opinions, be entitled to those thoughts and opinions. Just kind of let it be. Again, as long as it's not hurting anyone, imposing anything, like manipulating, Obviously, that's where discernment comes into play. You can tell, you can feel when something is overstepping. Flat Earth and Globe Earth, that's not overstepping anything. That's just a personal opinion and belief and expression. Like, that's not doing no harm to anyone. Going around thinking it's okay to inflict physical violence on people, yeah, that's a harmful belief. See what I'm saying? So, and yeah, the reason you want to let people hold space to have differing opinions is because we need that in order to have our individuality, in order to have perspective, to look at something outside of ourselves that is different and reflect on how we differ, on how we agree. It's a huge part, I think, of why we're here, and God choosing to live within us is to experience that reflection of like differing perspectives and seeing God from essentially every angle that God is. Again, like if you were to put mirrors up at a bunch of angles, God's seeing all those different reflections, all those different sides. If you just only see yourself looking straight on, you're never gonna know what you look like from here, from here, from there, from there. You don't see those parts. You only see this, you're like, that's all there is. Just me and this. Versus no, there's more. There's all this around us. You need those other differing perspectives to reflect more effectively, more efficiently. Again, that's why I think God chose to develop somewhat of like the ego, the identity, the I. People are always like, get rid of your ego. Your ego's bad. Your spirit, you're everything. You're this essence. No. But yes, you are spirit. You are everything. You embody that you are the infinite and finite. So we do have the ego. It's not like we should reject that. It's not like we need to get rid of it like it's something terrible or bad. It's okay to have our individuality and lean into it and lean into the human existence a little bit, but not be so attached with it and think that that's all we are. We are so much more than that. We are that spirit essence. But again, we are that spirit essence experiencing through this sense of self right now. And we can acknowledge that. And we can lean into it a little bit. Again, do not think that's all you are, but lean in. Develop yourself. Find those things that you resonate with and live them. Live your truth. And let other people live their truth again, as long as they're not overstepping. That's where discernment comes into play. I really don't think I have to explain it that much more than I already did, but just let people be. As long as they're not hurting anyone or anything, as long as they're not manipulating, as long as they're not taking advantage. Let people have their own opinions. Not everybody needs to agree with your same opinion. Learn to create space for their opinion to be and your opinion to be. And honestly, it's a grateful thing because it develops perspective. Let there be perspective. Don't think, oh, because they hold a different perspective, I need to argue until they see that I'm right. And I need to have everyone think the exact same way that I think. Let people have their own opinions. It's a beautiful thing. What if, someone felt the need to impose on your opinion? Like, no, you have to think the exact same way that I think. You're going to be like, that takes away my freedom, my free will, my sense of self. You wouldn't like that very much. Don't do that to other people. Hold space for them to be. It's just, I see so many people just trying to feel the need to defend and get people to accept. And it's like, you can explain your opinions. You can, want to share them to find like-minded people, maybe even to change people's minds. But your end goal shouldn't be to change someone's mind. It should be to create awareness and create just a new perspective for them to see. They don't have to see it. They don't have to take it on and be like, yeah, this is my perspective now. They can just reflect on it. Be like, oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that way? Curiosity, lean in with curiosity. But at the end of the day, they don't have to agree. They don't have to. Just because you hold a certain opinion doesn't mean that it's right and true. Like I said, I thought globe earth before. Now I think flat earth. Just because I believed in globe earth, does that mean it was true? It was true to me, but was it ultimate truth? I don't know. Who's to say? We are infinite and finite, so we can't really, not that we can't, but there's a lot of things hidden to us. And it's about going and seeking further clarity and not getting so hung up on, because I thought something one way for a really long time, I have to stay with that belief. No, your beliefs can shift. You can, with new information, evolve, shift, and make something different. I always say there's nothing wrong with making a mistake. In fact, that's our human right, is to make mistakes and learn from them, because no human being is perfect. Not any human being. Well, I don't know. I don't think any human being's perfect. I think it's just in our nature to make mistakes. We're allowed to make mistakes. That's our right. And from there, the only thing that's wrong is once you've realized that you have made the mistake and you don't own up to it, you don't atone, you don't apologize, you don't change your ways from that mistake, that's when you're in the wrong, in my opinion. Once you have that higher level of awareness, that's when, you need to take accountability and create change. If you don't have that awareness, I don't think it's wrong. Again, not to say like, oh, I didn't see the problem with physically assaulting someone. It's like, yeah, well, obviously it's still wrong. But also to a certain extent, now that you are understanding, like, let's say someone you punch someone, they punch you back, you're like, oh, that hurts, that doesn't feel good. You're like, oh, you can realize probably shouldn't be physically punching people who take advantage of other people. It's like, yeah, how do you like it when you feel taken advantage of? So just maybe don't do that. Yeah, now I'm just kind of rambling. My kitten, he wants his brunchy for the day. It's almost time, so he gets all like that. Oh, I need to crop that out so you can see where I live. My cat wants his brunchy for the day, so. He says, feed me. But yeah, that's it. That's my opinion. Let people have space for their own opinions, and let's all not attack each other based on our opinions. Let's learn to just create space. Okay? And even if someone has like a troublesome opinion where it's like, they think it's okay to like physically harm other individuals, I still don't think it's okay to necessarily like attack them. I think we have to just create a space for them to exist. And it's like, yeah, if you think it's okay to harm other individuals, you need to be isolated by yourself. That's not attacking them. That's just an awareness of who they are, being like, we can't have people who think it's okay to just physically attack people all the time. You need to be by yourself until you realize that the way to exist within a community is a sense of oneness, togetherness, where we don't harm each other, don't physically harm each other. So it's like, don't even attack that other person and be like, oh, because you think it's wrong to physically attack people, I'm gonna physically attack you. It's like, no, I think create that space and be like, just can't be around people. You just can't do that because you've shown through your opinions that it's not safe for you to be around people. So, yeah. No need to attack. Just create awareness and create space and take aligned action. Like, I don't know. I do know, but I don't know. So, yeah, that's all I really want to share. 2020 on the clock, as I said that. So, we're going to leave it at that. Peace. Bye.